learning data types is a must if you're ever going to get serious about programming. You just have to do it. You have to memorize these things. And so I wanted to do this video to go over some of the different data types in GameMaker. What is a data type? It's data and it's types of data. So in my create event here of my object struct, because I'm about to do a tutorial on structs, I have all these variables here. And what you're looking at are different data types. We have our item name, which is a fire sword here. This is called a string data type. And a string data type, you can see here, I've wrote, is text values enclosed in double quotes. So anything like this, that's going to be called a string. So if you ever hear someone say a string, they're not talking about a string, they're talking about like a sentence. They're talking about anything in double quotations. That's a data type. That's a string. Now, in more advanced programming languages like Java, you're going to have to define the data type of your variable. So GameMaker is extremely forgiving because you can make variables like this. It's pretty great. But if you're going to use Java, the way you'd make like a variable that's a string is you'd have to say like string item name, and then you'd give it the value, of whatever. So you normally have to do that. If you're going to do a Boolean variable, which is like true or false, you'd have to say bool. Then we have ours here called item can attack. Item can attack. So learning these different data types is just going to help you in the long run, especially if you plan to branch out to other programming languages. So we have string, and again, thankfully, GameMaker is very forgiving about that, and they don't make you do that. Then we have item attack, which is 23. This is an integer, okay? So this is just whole numbers. You have item attack speed, 2.5. That's called a float. That's decimal numbers. You have item can attack, which I have equal to true. That's called a Boolean, bool for short, okay? And that's a true or false. You have item owner, and I have that set to undefined. And that's just an undefined data type because it's assigned no value. So that's a type, but it doesn't have a value. Then we have arrays. This would be under like a more complex data type. And there's more than just arrays, but this is one of them. So we have an array here, and that's just an ordered list of values. So if you don't know about arrays, because I do cater to a lot of beginners on my channel, item range 2 or 1 would give us it should give us the value of 5. I wonder if this starts at 0. Now I want to know, just so I don't say something stupid. Okay, yeah, 12. So it does start at 0. So that's a good opportunity for me to point this out too. If you're a beginner in programming, everything starts at 0. Like for us, everything starts at 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? And then we have 10. But in programming language, everything starts at 0. So it's almost across the board, save a few functions. But for the most part, it's going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's how things work in programming language. So to access 5 on our array, we start at 0. That's going to give us 5 when we run the game. If we wanted 44, which is the third one, we're gonna say 2 because that's the third number. That's going to give us 44. So always try to keep that in mind. If you want more tutorials on arrays, because there's different types of arrays, I can do that if you want. You just got to leave a comment because arrays are very, very cool, especially if you want to do inventory stuff. Then we have item sprite, which is SPR_firesword, which is one of my sprites in my project that I've been playing around with. That's a resource type. So that can be sound effects. I mean, we could put like an object in there. And what we could do, of course, is instance create depth, XY depth, and we could say item sprite, even though, it's not a sprite anymore, it's an object, but, you can store these in variables if you didn't already know, and then just pump them out like this. So these are just different data types in GameMaker, and whether you've been using it for a while or not, and maybe I'm sure you're already using these, but it does help to know when someone says string, he's talking about a string. Or if they say a Boolean, they're talking about true or false. If they're talking about a float, it's a decimal number. If they're talking about an array, it's an array. That's all. There are more data types, and I think this is enough homework for you. Memorize these. Screenshot this if you need to. Say it in your head when you're programming, like when you write out double quotations. Tell yourself in your mind, this is a string. This is an integer. This is a float. It'll really help you. So that's all.